I can remember in November 2007, I got contacted by this guy who's a very good friend of ours, and he caters just for high-end jobs in Europe and England and that. And if he comes to you, you know that we're on a massive payday. And he said, I've got a bit of graft here, can you come and meet me over Hampstead Heath? So I said, yeah, I went and met him. And he started outlining this job. He said, I'm working for a consortium of guys, they're bankers and they're well-to-do people, very, very high up, and we want you to go into a data facility and retrieve 120 motherboards, and we need it done in the next month, or we're fucked. So I said, what do you mean? He said, well, there's been a job in Chicago where the guys have gone into a place and took a load of data. There's been a place done in London, and an easy access place. It's a level 3 data center. They took some biometric cards out of there to access something that we need. And he said, well, your job is to go into Verizon.
It's actually quite hard to actually look at a building and see how many layers of security got. But I know from the schematics that we received about Verizon, it had 8 layers of security. As you can see, there's a perimeter fence around the back. There's overlapping cameras. Some are thermal and some are standard cameras. That means the clarity is clear as day, night and day. At the entrance, you've got an airlock, a door system, compartment. As you breach that, you then come into a secure foyer with bulletproof glass. And then getting past that, you go through a biometric hand scanner and PIN code turnstile system. And then once you're through that, you then have to come to another secure door. You then get buzzed in there, and then you get access to the CCT camera suite. You've got 3 guys, they've all got panic buttons. To add an added security to that, you've then got an outside independent security company monitoring them and the motherboards. So you have to combat all these, I think there was 8 layers of security in Verizon, which we had to overcome.
So he said, how the fuck are we supposed to do this? How do you want us to go in there? He said, we can't use guns, you can't ram it. And if you're seen going in, there's 3 police stations within a mile distance. So you've got Kentish Town, you've got Highbury and Islington, you've got King's Cross, and you've got Albany Street, 4 police stations. He said, basically, it's impossible. And I said, well, why the fuck are you asking us to do it? He said, because we need them motherboards, and we're going to pay you X amount of money to go and do it. He said, can you get a team together? I said, well, if it's impossible, why the fuck, how do you expect me to go and do it? He said, can you have a look at it? I said, yeah. So I had a look at it. And you know what? It backed onto a canal. There was all fencing around there, all cameras, so there's no way of getting around there without being seen. I looked at it, so I knew we couldn't go through the back. We couldn't ram the sides because they would press the panic buttons. In the daytime, I think it was 5 security guards on the reception and walking around this gaff. At night time, there was 10. There's 24-hour security. So I sat there for weeks and weeks, and I looked at it. We had a British Telecom van across the road, and we had a spy hole in the side of it. And I just looked at it for 3 weeks, and I realised that it was practically impossible.
In the 3 weeks leading up to the job, we had a British Telecom van. See where this van's parked down here? There's a builder's van there. We had a British Telecom there for a couple of days. Then we parked it here, and then we parked it up here. This then gave us a view out of the side, because we had a hole in the side of the van, and we could see the entrance. We could see who was going in, how many security guards were working in the daytime, how many security guards were working in the evening, and roughly how many people would be in there. I think on the day we actually did it, as we timed it over them couple of weeks, I think there was 16 people who were going to be on that. I think it was that Wednesday evening when we did it.
You know, this job had been looked at a few times over the years by other firms, and it was considered in the underworld, so to speak, as an impossible job. But I didn't really want to go back and say it was impossible. I wanted to go back and say, yeah, we could fucking do it. You know, I'd already taken money off this guy for equipment and everything else if I needed it. And I can remember driving up to West Hampstead, and there was a guy on the roof, and all the road was covered off. You know, they had all old Bill everywhere, and it was all saying, stand back, you can't go through. I said, what's the matter, officer? He says, the guy up on the roof trying to commit suicide. And that's when it hit me, well, ping. I thought, you know what? The only way I can get to this door, one, if I dress up as old Bill, And if I say that there's someone else on the roof, but do it in such a way that they had no other, no other address apart from letting me in. So what we decided is that we would go as a fast response robbery team. So we had all the uniforms. To add to the job, we would have a police van with blue lights and on the side police and a car. We also had 5 technicians that we had hired to actually go in there and take all the motherboards out. But to really just round the job off, we actually got an Alsatian and a dog handler's uniform. So we would then turn up as a dog handler uniform guy with us, 5 police officers, so 5 in total and 5 carriers, but the 5 carriers are across the road. And we would knock on the door.
The authenticity of the whole project was about being clothed head to toe with proper police uniforms, proper radios, everything else, and actually convincing all the security staff and everyone, even the Joe public, that we were real police officers, and that's what we did. So our modus operandi was just about getting the whole picture right, and that picture was us being a fast response robbery team. And I think we actually pulled it off spectacularly.
On these security companies, every hour they go around to each corner of the offices. The whole building. It's quite a massive building. It's the size of I think Arsenal football stadium's massive. And every hour they do that. So if they don't do that every hour, then the alarm goes off at their main security company, and then all hell breaks loose. So we had decided to do it bang on 9 o'clock. So we had an hour from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock to retrieve all the boards.
We were all dressed in full uniform now, and there was no turning back now. We was all, I was in the front of a police van. We had a police car behind us. We had blue lights in the front, and for all intents and purposes, we were a fast response robbery squad. We was on our way to a job. The adrenaline's kicking in now. You can almost taste it. You got your lips start to go dry. When your adrenaline starts running, you got to lick your lips. You got to keep it moist because you got to talk. And just as I came to this traffic lights up here, a police car came here, and we got to about here, and the sirens went off. And I could hear on the mic, one of my guys in the back saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" I said, "It's okay, just calm yourself down." And all of a sudden I saw the technician guys, they peeled off and they pulled in here. We should have pulled across the road, but I said, "Don't worry, we're not gonna pull on it. We're gonna pull over." And then what we did, we pulled over a little bit, and the police car come past us, and they carried on. But we had overshot the mark, so now we had to go around again. So this lost us about 5 or 6 minutes. Overall, the overall job, we had 1 hour to do the job, and now we were going to be 6 minutes fucking behind as soon as we got in there. So we had to make up the time to take 120 motherboards out. We needed time, so now we had to speed everything up.
We pulled up, knocked on the door, and then we went through the spill. And the spill was there's someone up on the roof. Let us in. We need to take the dogs up there and check the building. There was a little bit of resident at first, and then they buzzed me in. We went through the airlock door, which was brilliant because that's where they would have caught us, and they bussed us through to the next one with a biometric card they gave us. And then we was in the foyer, spoke to the head of security. He came out. I then took his biometric card. I told him I needed that to get through access to all the doors. I then gave it to one of my guys, who then let the other guys in. So now there was 5 of us in the foyer and the dog. I asked him to take us through the turnstile, and then we went through the turnstile. When we got through there, the CTT couldn't see us, so we cuffed him up. He was the head of security. We then went through the big metal door, and then there was the CCT operating room, and there was 3 guys there, and they got the panic buttons by their right side, and there's about 30 cameras, and I'm looking at all of them, and they're all looking at me, and my guys are behind me, and I went, "Right, has any of you been up on the roof?" And they said, "No, why?" So we said, "We've had reports of a man dressed in a security guard's uniform. He's up on the roof. So for my protection and my officer's protection, I want to cuff every single one of you until I find out who you are." And they went, They're a little bit funny at first, and they just all stood up, and we cuffed them all. Cuffed the security guard on the reception. Then we called the other security guards down from the other levels, and then there was 2 on the top floor. So what we did, we went up and we got them. Baff. I got one of them. My other pal got the other one. We brought them all down. I think there was 10 security guards. There was four technicians and a couple of cleaners. I think it was 16 in all people. We cuffed them all and we put them on the stairwell. And then we just put my pal with the dog. And then I radioed across the road for the other guys to come over. But first of all, we had to find the circuit breaker room to turn off all the CCTV cameras on this particular floor where the independent security systems operators were monitoring that one room. They were independent of Verizon. So we found that, and I told my guy, ready, take it offline now, Buff. He took it offline, and all of a sudden the phone rang on the reception where I was, and I said, oh, Verizon Security, can I help you? And the guy said, all our cameras have gone down, what's going on? I said, we've had a surge in the mainframe computer system. I said, our technicians are on it now. We should be operational between 25 and 45 minutes. Either way. He went, well, no worries. That was the only time that I felt a little bit uncomfortable the whole job. Everything else I'd planned for, or we had planned for as a team. We could cope with security guards, we could cope with this, with every other avenue of entry there, but the only thing we couldn't factor in was the fact that this geezer might have gone, hold up, I don't like this, I'm going to phone the old Bill, and then we would have been sitting targets or sitting ducks in this gaff.
For me, it was about putting together a really experienced team of professional guys who were really highly motivated. It takes a very special kind of person to go into a building where there's 10 security guards and tech guys, cleaners, everything else in there, yeah? I think that evening there was 16 people there, and there was only 5 of us. So it takes a very special mentality or a bit of off-key mentality to actually do something like this. But you still have to maintain a professionalism. You still have to go in there with an open mind that we were actually going to achieve our goals, and our goal was to take 120 motherboards out of there, not hurt anybody, use no violence, and really just get out of there at 10 o'clock when we knew that the alarm would go off. So the guys were they was as cool as ice. To actually stay in somewhere for 1 hour. With everything that was going on, these guys were the tops. I've known these guys forever, and for me, they were the best people I've ever worked with.
We then went into all the rooms where the motherboards were, and then on camera I could see our technicians taking the motherboards, putting them in the bags, and then putting them out in the hallway. And all of a sudden, after 40 minutes, we had 20 bags full of motherboards, 120 motherboards. And then as soon as the last bag's come out, I called it and said, right, listen, we got about 3 minutes to get the fuck out of here, because once we hit 10 o'clock, we're fucked. So they all went buff. We all went upstairs and we all grabbed two bags each, and we walked down. I had 3. My other pal, who got Nick with me, he had 3, because we had to take the guy with the dog. He was looking after. He should have took 2, but he had the dog, and the dog was a big fucking thing, so it kept barking and pulling everywhere. Anyway, so he was on the stairway with all the people, and we just went. We all came down with all these bags, and we went out. The 5 technicians, they put their 2 bags in, and they went across to the road and got in their car, and they fucked off. They'd all been paid. We then put all our bags in, and then I went in, called my guy with the dog, said, come, let's go. And then I said goodbye. I said, we searched the building, there's no one in there. And then we're back to, we'll release you, blah, blah. And we went out, and then we drove off. We left there at 10 o'clock, exactly 6 minutes past 10, the old Bill were in there. However, it didn't really end there. We then drove out of this place. We then drove up Kentish Town. And as we got level with the Kentish Town police station, all hell broke loose again as all the old Bill came out in front of us. But instead of arresting us, they just drove, and they were going down to the Verizon. So they come flying out of there, and we just all sort of froze because we thought they were coming for us. And then we carried on driving. And my guy was in the back, what's going on? He's got a fucking old station in there, he's got all the motherboards. and we've got our police car was behind as well, and we're saying, just calm down, it's all right, they're going down to Verizon, man, the shit must have hit the fan. And we said, just keep driving. As we drove up, they come out the back way as well, and it was like, there was this old Bill, there was sirens, lights. He was in the back saying, what the fuck's going on? And I kept saying, just calm down, man, just calm yourself down, it's going to be okay. Anyway, the old Bill went, and we carried on driving, and we got as far as up to Hampstead and pulled over and let him out with the dog. And he went and took the dog back to the guy who it belongs to. And then he went and got in his car, and he met us up in where we were supposed to actually all meet afterwards.
This is Kenwood, where we dropped off the motherboards. If you can see what this van is here, there's a zip car there. We parked the van over there, and then we then went round to the cafe to meet the fixer. So this is where I met my fixer. We had a little discussion, and then he got on his computer, and he transferred all our money into some accounts that we'd set up that were untraceable. He then called his guy who was sitting over there to come over. I then explained that my guy was sitting in the car park with the van, and all the motherboards were in the back, and if he took a walk around in now and went to the petrol cap, he would find the key there, and then he could take it. He pressed the button, the money went in, I then phoned my guy, and then he walked off, and that was it. We had a cup of coffee, me and my fixer, and then 5 minutes later, we disappeared, and that was the end of it. Verizon and all this Pentium chips and all this data had vanished into thin air, never to be seen again.
On the news that night, it said there's been a robbery in King's Cross, and they called it the Ocean's 11 style robbery. And they said that, you know, there was dogs and everything else. And he said, well, how did you come up with that idea? And I said, it just happened. Anyway, so we had a little laugh, and I said, look, all your boards are there. I said, all your stuff is in the van. He went down there, and then he disappeared. He went, and the motherboards have never been seen again. Nothing was ever found. No monies was ever recovered. No motherboards to this day. Only 2 of us have ever been nicked for it, unfortunately. I got caught a year later. It was unfortunate. You know, I spent a bit of time on the canal boat, having a great time with my kids and everything else. And one of my pals got nicked on a bit of work, and he had a police uniform on. And they'd done a known associates. And unfortunately, they took my photo and showed some security guards. It was completely unrelated to me on a bit of work. And the security guard said, that's the guy that done all the talking on all these jobs. Next thing, I had a fucking special squad on me, the 70-handed serious crime and organised crime squad, who were pretty heavy. They went through every single door. They went through every contact I had. They went through every buyer that I've ever dealt with. They went through my mum's, my dad's, everyone's. You know, they were following them, you know, 24 hours a day. My dad phoned me up and said, look, the old Bill have just gone into a house across the road from him. They were plotted up in the room, so don't come near me. His neighbour was a good friend of my dad. He'd phoned and let him know. So you know what? So I spent 10 months on the run. I can always remember before I went on the run, I was in my girlfriend's house in Camden Town, and it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I was up, and I looked over the balcony, and I saw this guy and this bird walk past again. It was a girl, and for some reason I think if they seen girls, we're not gonna see them, and it was early in the morning, and they just wasn't right. You know, like you just know the way they walk and look up. And I said, these not right. My girlfriend was in bed, and I never said nothing to her. I just walked through to the kitchen, and I had a rucksack with about 20 or 30 grand in it. And I just put it on my shoulder and pulled myself up onto the roof. And I ran along the balcony, and I ran all the way, because there's a fire escape right at the end of these flats where I was staying. And it's like a tube. You go down it and you drop about 15 or 20 foot onto the ground. So I went down it. I dropped, and as I dropped and got up again and walked across the road, I see them all going into my place. And I can remember speaking to her a week later or whatever it was. She said, I can't believe you never fucking warned me. I said, I couldn't warn you because I had to get out of there. If I'd have warned you, I'd have been caught.
I said the funny thing was I was actually on the run for a whole year, and I was actually living in a canal boat. And guess where I was moored up? I was actually moored up just along there for about 3 months. And I had the whole of 70 strong men of a team on me looking for me everywhere. And they all thought I was up the road in Birmingham or wherever else they thought I was. But they were going through doors all over London, Manchester, Liverpool, everywhere looking for me. And I was parked right opposite Verizon, which was ironic, which is crazy.
Then I stayed in a little cottage. Then I was in another little place. And it was just great. I was going to the gym every day. I was getting really fit. I had a lovely suntan. And but you know, the old Bill were on my case. You know, everywhere I went, they were 5 minutes behind. So you got photo recognition all through London now. And every time I came down, even though I had a hat on, 2 minutes later they'd go in somewhere. So I decided that I would fuck off to Thailand because my mate had a bar out there in Koh Samui. So I phoned him up and said, I'm coming over. I sent him some money over, and you know, I thought I'd better get a passport because I lost my passport, everything else. When I'd done a runner that day, I left it on the table. And I phoned this guy up. He said, yeah, I'll have a passport ready for you. It'll take a couple of weeks, blah, blah. So I phoned my pal. I said, 3 weeks and I'll be over there. So I booked my flight, everything else. And the day before I was supposed to pick up the passport, I phoned this guy up and he said, I'm sorry, mate, I fucking ain't ready. He said, it'll be ready tomorrow. I said, well, I'm fucking off tomorrow. I'm going in the morning. I think it's about 6:30 in the evening. I said, I'm off. I've got to get a fucking passport. Anyway, he said, I'll meet you at the airport. So I said, all right, I'll meet you at Luton Airport. So we'd arranged to meet at Luton Airport. I gave him another number, so where I would turn the phone on at a certain time and he'd come and meet me. Anyway, so I got rid of everything that I owned. I bought some new stuff that I was gonna go away with. And I was sitting in the house and I was a bit hungry. And I remember going up to, there was a chicken shop and I was hungry, so I thought I'd walk up there. It was about half a mile away from where I was living. And I just went out there. I was going to meet him in the evening. It was about, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I just thought I'd walk up there. I had all my gear packed on the bed. I was basically 5 minutes away from getting on the train and going up to Luton Airport. And I thought I'd go and get something to eat. And I was walking along the street. I was talking to one of my pals on the phone in London. And all of a sudden I see this car come. It mounted the pavement and it started coming towards me and I thought, oh fuck. I threw the phone in the air, threw it over the wall. As I went to turn around, another car came and they've sort of head-butted each other. I've jumped up, I've hit the bonnet, went to roll over, there's a van pulled up. Next thing, there's 25 old Bill everywhere coming into me. Next thing, I'm spread-eagled out on the floor. And all I could hear is, we've got the cunt, we've got him. You know, they're fucking elation, they're all jumping for joy. And I'm thinking, my whole world has just crumbled again for the third time in my life. It's just gone to shit. But at the same time, there was a real calmness over me that it was over. You know, I've been on the run for a year. I wasn't able to see my kids. You know, I was enjoying myself, but I wasn't living. I was hiding. And then, you know, all I can remember them saying we got him, and I still had to say, sorry, you've obviously got the wrong person. My name is Eddie O'Brien, I said, and I had an ID and everything. And I still tried to blag it, even though they had me. I think it's just in us, you know. And then they said, no, we got him. And I can remember I was standing on the pavement for about 25 minutes, and they were putting their picture up towards me, and then all of a sudden they got the okay, take him back to London. And then that was it. I fucking had an escort of lights, because now the lights, you know, it was getting darker now. I'd missed my opportunity with the passport that had gone. And I was driving back to London, and I can always remember just seeing all the lights going past in the cars, thinking, fucking hell, man, this is the last time I'm going to see daylight for a number of years. You know, it's no fucking joke. You know, these guys are proper heavy. They're proper heavy, this little firm who came after me. And obviously I was going to get more years than normal. You know, normally if you carry a gun, you get a life sentence. But if you don't carry a gun, you're only getting 10 or 11 or whatever, or 12. I felt that because of Verizon and what what it involved in motherboards and data and the banking sector and everything else, I was going to get a fucking lot more. However, I put that aside, and I just was just calm. I just sat there looking out the window.
There was information on them chips that I reckon could have taken quite a lot of people down, and very influential people. We got, there was hundreds of billions of pounds worth of prime mortgages sold, and people earn hundreds of millions of pounds of bonuses. And unfortunately, the paper trail or the data trail disappeared with these motherboards, so that no one was ever charged or convicted. So, I think you have to make up your own minds, how valuable they really were, and how many people were relying on the fact that we had to go and get their motherboards and at any cost. We were paid handsomely to go and do a job that people thought was impossible.